what's in the discussion chapter, section? If you're doing just a try, it's just a section really. Well, you look at your research question. Remember, you have the research question back in the methodology at the beginning. Bring up your research question, and you're probably in the introduction as well, and say, well, here's how we can now answer that question. And then you look at the hypotheses one by one and say whether they hold, that is, the hypothesis is considered valid, or whether it is refuted, that is, it is not considered valid. And you would go through them and just discuss. We would say what the results say, and then you try to say why. Okay, what were the possible causes? What do you think connects that bit of data there with that bit of data? Or why do the questionnaires answers say one thing and the interviews say something different? And you've got to try to figure that out and talk about that. This is the place to talk about it, okay? You identify contradictions, and then you try to explain them. Or you say, well, I have doubts about this, or I think the people were just telling me what I wanted them to tell me, which does happen very, very often, okay? This is the place where you're free to evaluate as well and say, look, I think this was a really good thing that people answered this way, or this was not a good thing, but make it clear what your particular reasons are, all right? I'll just keep on the conclusion because there's not a lot to say for the conclusion. People read abstracts, beginning of the beginning in the introduction, and they read the conclusion. So you've got to make the conclusion really clear and well written, all right? Say, this is what we found. This is how we answered the question. I know you've done that in the discussion chapter, but here you're just making it really, really short, like a headline, yeah? And then traditionally, we would say, well, in this study, I've interviewed 10 people about how they make sense of Great Gatsby. It's limited because I would need more people to do a future study. So you say how your study is limited, and that follows on to any ideas you would have for future research. And that's for you as well. It indicates to your reader that you're motivated, you recognize you've only done a little bit of research here, and that there's a lot more that can be done. And it's also good for other readers who are looking for topics to investigate. All right. And that's it. That's as far as we have to go in the analysis of the parts of a research paper.